So I'm shooting this right now on the DJI Pocket 3. I absolutely love this device, but there are some things that I just hate. And most of these things you can fix with the software update. So DJI, if you're watching, hopefully we can get this with further improvements. But here are the things that I hate about the DJI Pocket 3. Number one is actually not the battery life. Well, it is having gimbal lock as a manual function. Right now, you have to hold on to the joystick so the gimbal stays locked. Having a static locked on shot is very crucial from any good cinematic shot, or at least majority of the shots are stationary. Even if I'm moving slightly, on a usual gimbal, I like to have the lock function turned on for a specific shot. So having that option is absolutely crucial, but I just couldn't find it in any of the functions. Hopefully this could be a feature in the upcoming firmware. The second thing is the focus. We have single focus, continuous, and product. Now, if you're using continuous, well, basically the Pocket 3 will become a bipolar personality. It will focus on anything and everything, which means you are going to get a lot of focus breathing or focus shifts. And that is not something you want, especially when you can't adjust the sensitivity of the focus shift or the focus rack, right? Which is basically the focus from one subject to the next. It gives that very jittery, unnatural perspective. Now, to combat this, most of the time I shoot in single focus. I just tap on the subject and lock focus. However, when you're moving, especially given this is a gimbal camera, your subject is going to change distance from your lens, which makes it harder to focus. Now, you could argue with me and say, let's turn on active focus and lock onto the subject so you'll always stay focused. And that comes a second problem. The camera gimbal head itself is going to move left and right depending on your movements. If you're doing a tutorial, webcam, presentation, yeah, that's perfectly fine. But if you want something cinematic, if you want to shoot a good quality video, you don't want your camera hand to be moving left, then right, then left again, just to follow your subject. So my suggestion is pretty simple. Have active track, but with the lock function. That way we can focus on our subject, but still keeping our static shots. This is not hard, it can be done through software. DJI gimbals can do this, and it's been done on their Ronins as well as their Osmos. The third problem is obviously the battery life. This thing is great, I take it out everywhere I go now. It basically has replaced my main camera, which is my Sony S3. If I'm doing talkie heads like this, if I'm doing a lot of continuous shooting, I'm doing time lapse, especially if you're shooting 4K, which I don't know why anyone wouldn't be, you are going to drain the battery. Now, on itself, roughly about 2 hours of continuous shooting for me, depending on the conditions of the day. But you can obviously get these power hand grips that comes in the combo, which I highly recommend because you definitely need the extra juice. The next thing is probably a small thing, but it's just the overall user experience of using the Mimo app. Now, I love the app. It has extra features and histograms and shooting functions that's not available on the actual Pocket 3. Now, right now, when you turn on the app, once we find the device via Bluetooth, you have to click on join, which is an extra step. Now, personally, I hope that once you find the device, it will automatically just log in, because I think 90% of the time when we turn on the app and we have the DJI Pocket next to us, we want to have access to the Pocket. That's the only purpose. We want to see what the camera sees straight away. I mean, you do this with the DJI microphone already, just by turning it on and you'll automatically pair and you're good to go. So I think we can make the experience so much more seamless just by turning on the app, turning on the Pocket 3, and you'll automatically pair. And finally, if possible, I would also like to have the function where the gimbal remembers its last position when it was turned off. So once you turn it back on, it reverts back to that position. The next thing is more of a hardware thing. Is, have you ever found it when you turn off your gimbal, the gimbal is a little bit flimsy, it doesn't lock into place, you always feel insecure by putting it into the case because it still moves around. And yeah, I think that's just more of a design feature, which I hope they can improve on in the next generation. But apart from that, I have nothing to rant about. This is a great gimbal. In fact, if you want to get the best out of your camera or just understand and learn about the tips and tricks of this little camera, because there are a few hidden features that just came out with the firmware update, go check out this video. And until next time, more honest reviews on this channel. Catch.